Gotta kick off the show here.
We're agreeing.
So cleaned up.
All right, welcome to the show, everybody.
Welcome to the Mafia cast. Oh my gosh.
We
Talk about
made
last
it, huh?
second.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Awesome timing.
Welcome to the Mafia
Ron.
cast. Yeah, I know. Part of the Buffalo Rumblings podcast network. All of our listeners, if you're on right now, thank you. Appreciate you. Look, I signed into the show literally as the opening was going. Yeah, it's been a crazy couple of weeks for me, but here we are. We made it. How you guys doing?
Good. That was an exciting entrance you made there. I'm doing all right.
Boy,
I see the smoke behind me.
Yeah.
It's been a whirlwind of a day.
Yeah.
It has. I was in Walla Walla, Washington this week. We just got back in town today. I had some stuff at the office I had to do. And then I was the last one at the office, so I had to set the alarm and everything. So I set it. I opened up the gate to get my truck out of the yard, and I'm leaving. And I'm like, oh, crap, did that just set off the alarm? So then I had to turn around and go back
Oh, man.
to make sure that I didn't accidentally set it off, which I didn't. So everything's good. But I wasted about 15 minutes to make sure everything was good. But I made it. Here we go.
Hey, and everything's good.
Everything's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get into the show, guys. It's been a rough week for Bills and Bills fans. I know there are a lot of Bills fans out there. I mean, I'm seeing people throwing the towel in the season, which I mean, I understand. But where do you guys stand on this season? Before we get into anything else, I want to hear from you guys because I tweeted out this morning that for me, I still believe we've seen this offense be great. We know what they're capable of. 5-4. It's not the end of the world. Only a game behind the Dolphins. But what do you guys think?
You're right. I'm 100% with you. I've lost hope watching games, but I have not lost much hope for the season. I just haven't. It hasn't hit me. I don't know if I'm in denial. It just hasn't hit me yet. And I really think we're going to go on a tear here soon. So bring it on.
Yeah.
I felt like when the 7-6 year, like when we were 7-6 and then 13 seconds happened, I felt better about that team. But I wasn't one of the ones that hated Dable. That always was, until he had his like 1 or 2 good years with Josh. Like everybody was like, get rid of Dable. I mean, worse than they are about Dorsey. But I loved Dable. I thought he was fantastic. I mean, you don't work for Nick Saban and Bill Belichick because you're an idiot. Like both of those guys, I mean, renowned, considered the best head coach at each of their respected levels. So I was a fan of him. Like you could see the progression that he and John both making every year. It just seemed like that year was more lumps in the road and just trying to figure things out. This year, between the injuries on defense and then the complete inconsistencies on offense, I mean, I'm still optimistic. I'm not somebody that's going to say, I think we're going to miss the playoffs. I think we're not very good. Let's suck for Jamar Chase. But if it happens, I won't be like entirely shocked. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, explain what you mean by Jamar Chase, because some people are probably like, what?
It was a Brandon Bean quote. He was at the press conference, like if there was ever a time like where you would suck enough like to get a top wide receiver, a top pick, and he's like, I don't ever want to suck that bad. That's why he doesn't ever trade the farm, and trade for, Devontae Adams when he doesn't need to, or trade up like 10 picks, like give up next year's first and second to trade up into the current draft and get the top 5 pick. He never wants to be there because we're that bad. I don't either. I'm
Agreed.
more so willing to give up picks. Like if we're going to get an established player, I would rather do that than trade up to try to draft somebody, because it's, you know what you're going to get. Yes, I mean, we knew what we were going to get in Stephon Diggs. Maybe not even to this extent. I don't think we expected him to be first in catches, basically be the best wide receiver in the league since he's come to the Bills. But nobody knew Justin Jefferson was going to be the second best wide receiver in that same time span in the NFL. It's like the Bills were damned if they did. They were damned if they didn't. It was one of those things. You can't predict the future, but I would rather bet it on somebody that you've seen it, you know what they can do, and they're still young enough to where giving them that contract, that second contract, or maybe even third, is still worth it.
Right. No, I completely agree with you. I'm going to touch really quick on Roy's comment here. Is this going to be another Fire Dorsey episode? I personally am not on board with that. I don't think we're there to that point. I think the offense as a whole, the players, the coaches, all aspects of it, need to get things figured out for sure. Is there some things that maybe Dorsey or McDermott or have some of their decisions I agree with? Obviously, no. But there's just, to me, there's still so much promise and potential there because we've seen it. We've seen how good this team can be, at least on the offensive side of the ball. I know the defense is going to be rough with all the injuries. I get that. But also on the flip side of that too, even if you do move on from Dorsey, it's not going to happen in the middle of the season. So people need to just move on from that.
Pretty much throw the season away at that point, right?
It's not like Rex Ryan, or Josh, or like what's going on in Oakland with Josh McDaniels. Like that was a dumpster fire. Rex Ryan was a dumpster fire. Like it's a situational type thing. Like this isn't that bad. We're not putting up 3 points a game. It may feel like it compared to the last few years, but we're not. There. But now that you guys are all talking about it, I feel like we should jump ahead and get to this what ifs, because this is kind of rolling right into this.
Okay. All right, let's do it.
So I had just got home from work, just got out of the shower and sat down for 5 minutes. And like these like scenarios just popped into my head. So we're gonna go like, do you guys want all three at once, or do you want a one by one? We'll break it down each.
Let's do it one by one.
Okay. So the first one is, what if we get to say 2 games below 500, and Josh's shoulder's still bothering him? It's one of those things. Do we decide to suck bad enough for Jamar Chase?
Casey, I'll let you take it first, or Mike, I'll let you go first.
Do we shut Josh down? Do we shut Josh down?
Ugly. That would be ugly. I'd hate to watch that. Oh my God.
Would it be worth it? Worth it? Look at what the Bengals were before they got Jamar Chase. I mean, Joe Burrow, he was good, but they wouldn't be what they are without Jamar Chase. Not even close.
Yeah. I think if we're talking 2 games under 500, that means that they essentially lose the next 3 games, which is the Broncos, Jets, and I think the Eagles is after that.
Yep.
So then that would put us at 5-7.
5-6. Yep.
I mean, you kind of have to, because there's no. So
if he's legitimately,
just play the second string the rest of the season.
If Allen is legitimately injured and there's risk of further injury, then maybe I consider that. But even at 5-7, you can still run the table and go 10-7, get in the playoffs, and who the heck knows what's going to happen at that point. If he can still play, I say he still plays. If he's legitimately injured and it's more of a true injury, not just something that's kind of hurting, then I can maybe entertain that idea. But I'm one of those, and until the fat lady's singing, it ain't over. I was not there physically, but I was in my living room on the couch watching that greatest comeback in playoff history, 35-3. I've seen this team score 3 touchdowns in 77 seconds against the Broncos years ago to come from behind and win a game there. There's just been so many examples. Like, you just never know until it's done. It's done. And if it's not done, then I'm not throwing in the towel at all. So the whole mathematical equations, I'm Einstein over here trying to figure out, okay, what's got to happen? There's still a chance. Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me there's a chance?
That's what we should have named our show. Dumb and Dumber and Dumber.
It's just redundant at that point.
Dumberer.
Jesus.
Let everybody else figure out who's who.
Hey, I was within 1 point of the last score prediction if the scores were flipped.
Excuse me, who chose the correct
and we won.
winner?
I know. But we're not talking about that.
Okay,
right
so
now.
Yeah, we're not. All right.
Here's the second.
What's the next one?
What if we bounce back like the 7-6 year and lose in the AFC Championship, like closely? And everything's just kind of like we go on the run, just like we did that year. Like, would everything be like forgiven and forgotten? Like all the issue, like this huge, 4 or 5 week span. Would it, like everything that we've all said about Dorsey and Josh and McDermott, would everything be forgiven? It's not a Super Bowl win, and it's not even going to the Super Bowl, but it's losing an AFC Championship game, which we understand how hard it is to get there, seeing as how Josh hasn't been there since his fourth year. Fourth year. So what would your guys' like fan opinion be, and what do you think like the organization would do next?
I think first of all, it depends. I mean, if the offense puts up 30 plus, 40 plus points during that whole stretch, I think that puts it all behind us, and people have to just accept the fact that maybe Dorsey is a halfway good offensive mind, and it just took some time for whatever reason to kind of get things figured out, which we'll talk about that in a little bit, because there were some things that McDermott said earlier in the week that was kind of odd to me. But if they're limping along still and they're beating the Broncos by 3 points and somehow they luckily managed to trip their way into several wins and get to the AFC Championship game, I think it's a different conversation then. So it just for me, it just kind of depends on how we get there. As far as the offseason, I don't know what this team is going to do. Every offseason, we try to figure that out, and we try to guess, and then we're wrong every time, right? Initially, I would have said they'd go corner in first round, but I think that changes with the addition of Douglas, because he is on a 2-year deal still. I can see them extending him as well if he plays well. Free agency, I haven't had a chance to see who could be potentially out there. I really don't know what this team's going to do. I think they need to start looking like Diggs has not shown us any signs of decline yet, but when that decline comes, it comes fast and oftentimes unexpectedly. So I would like to see them go a little higher in this year's draft to have some more answers for that offense. I know they drafted Justin Shorter, which somebody in here, Tony Miller, asked, why aren't they trying him? I don't think they need to. I don't think there's a problem necessarily with the wide receivers. Kincaid's been killing it. Shakir's been doing really well. Diggs is Diggs. We have all the weapons there. So I don't know. Do they start to answer some of the concerns we might be having at the safety position? Like, there's a real possibility that we have neither one of our starting safeties next year. So
this upcoming game.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's possible. Well, we saw that a lot last year. Like 5 games, I think Poyer missed. So there was 5 games that we saw without either one of them. We didn't have Rapp last year, so I think that will help alleviate some of those issues this year. But I don't know.
So
That's going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah. So you're saying we get that far, and then there's no issues with the staff. We're just gonna focus on keep building this team. Bringing in all the talent we can, and we just keep at it, right? So yeah. I kind of agree with that, and what it would be, Dorsey sort of proving, that he could do the job that Daboll did, right? And get us there. So there's nothing wrong with that. The big thing for me though is if it's the Chiefs. God, you can't lose to the freaking Chiefs again in that game.
That's a good point, Mike. So like what does that do to Sean McDermott if he loses to the Chiefs?
That makes you question it. But...
And like, even though it's in Arrowhead again, just like every other playoff game.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter at this point. You've seen
if we lose at home against them. which I
Yeah,
doubt at this point. But
I mean, like
we'd have home field, but
in the AFC Championship game, like we lose to Mahomes 35-30, something like that. What
similar
does that
game.
say about Sean McDermott? Like does that start making his seat even hotter, being like he just can't get past A, the Chiefs, or B, like the AFC Championship game?
As far as for the Bills Mafia, they'd be all sorts of riled up over it.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
sick of this same thing
again,
every year,
that's what I'm
over and
wondering.
over.
Yeah,
You
again,
know?
though,
That's
I
what I'm
think it
wondering.
depends on how it plays out.
Right.
If they go into that game and it's 35-30 or 35-31, let's say the Chiefs drove down the field, and if you
Yeah.
don't have another 13-second situation where, okay, the
Yeah.
Chiefs beat us, plain and simple, they outplayed us this day. They made one more play than we did, and it's not a moment where you have to question like somebody's decision, which
Yeah.
I think since I started doing content creation and really kind of paying attention to the fan base a little bit more, I think the fans are they're going to cook up something to complain about, and they're going to find somebody to blame almost regardless of the outcome. If the Bills win a Super Bowl, they're not going to blame McDermott. They're not going to blame Dorsey. Dorsey could lead this offense and put up 40 points. The defense could, if we went out there and won a Super Bowl 40-3, somebody's going to find something to complain about. Oh, well, McDermott, he shouldn't have gone for it on that fourth down. That was a stupid decision. It led to 3 points.
Yeah.
I'm 100% confident
Some people don't
that
want
the
to be
fan
happy.
base. I don't think they
True.
do. I think some people just want to complain
Yeah.
because maybe they don't want to be disappointed, so they're like, I'm just going to go ahead and bitch about this now because next year we might suck, and I'll be like, told you so.
Aren't you a
By the
joy?
way, we call them Karens.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't going to go there, but
Wow.
Yeah, put a name to the face.
There you go.
there
Nice
you go,
hair.
yeah.
So we have one more scenario.
All right.
What if we're like in the middle of the road? We lose the division, make the wild card, and win one game, like barely, like we did last year, 35-32 against the Dolphins. What's next? What, like, so we didn't we made the playoffs. We didn't we didn't get home field. We didn't win the division. We barely, say we barely beat Miami in the playoffs, but then we get smoked in the divisional round by, say the Jaguars again. Like what would be next? If like we like you said, Pon, we limp in at 10-7, and we just kind of we limp our way through that first playoff game. And then that second one, like it looks just like it did last year. We're out of gas. We're done. I mean, there was times after that game when McDermott's seat probably had never been hotter. So, like, do you think like that would finally make the pot boil over if we had the same kind of playoff exit and entrance into the playoffs?
First of all, I don't think McDermott's seat is hot based on the organization. I think the fan base has heated up his seat,
Mm-hmm.
which can
Agreed.
lead to the organization heating up that seat as well. I do
Well, that's
understand
why
that aspect of it.
that's why Andy Reid got fired from Philly. That's exactly
Yeah.
why.
If it's more of the same, I do think maybe you have to start looking at, okay, what something needs to change. I don't again, it's hard for me to point the finger at McDermott as a guy who would need to go because I just feel like what he has done for this organization, a lot of fans have ignored at this point. I get it. They want more. I understand that. But, and I've said this before, I do not ever want to experience 17 years again. That was just miserable. I would rather what we have now than do 17 years of crap because I may not live for another 17 years. So
You are like
Especially,
85.
especially with the way they've been playing. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
I just don't think McDermott's is the problem. Is he part of it? Yes. Is Dorsey part of it? Yes. Is Allen part of it? Yes. And my point there is this is a team thing. It's not just one
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
Like if it was just Dorsey, then I think the team could overcome that. If it was just McDermott, the team could overcome that. If it was just this or just that, the team can overcome it because there's so many other great things about this team. But that's not what's happening. It's multiple things. It's Allen not, hitting the underneath wide open guy. And instead, he wants to try to put it in a hole between a cover two coverage that he's done before and he knows he can, but he does. But that moment he did not. It's Dorsey calling a shotgun draw on a 2nd down and 10. It's
for the
I
78th
don't
time
know.
this year.
You don't want to be predictable.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I just don't think it's just one thing only.
Yeah.
But
I
I
can't
do
get
think
mad
that if
at
it's more of
Dorsey.
the same, yeah,
'Cause
I think if it's more of the same, then something's going to change.
If I was the OC, I'd play call like him, and it'd drive everyone nuts. And I play Madden like he does. I run it on 4th and 7, and
It's true.
I
It's
don't know.
really annoying. It's
Yeah,
really
and
annoying. But so Roy makes a really good point here. And Chase Spence King tweeted about this earlier this week and made the comparison. Is Sean McDermott our Mark Jackson to the Warriors Steve Kerr? Is Sean McDermott our Steve Jackson, and now it's time for us to go get our Steve Kerr? Because, like Roy said, it seemed like the Warriors, were at their ceiling with Mark Jackson as their head coach, and it seems like, it has seemed so far that we know what the Bills' ceiling is so far with Sean McDermott. That we're comfortable with saying is, you know what I'm saying? So do we maybe, if say Dable somehow gets fired this year and we're like, and it's an ugly playoff exit for us, are we like, dude, come home, come work an hour and a half from where you grew up, like
if it's
is it one?
it's
But
probably
but you know what I'm saying? If it's a
more
high
likely
end,
to-
but if it's a high end offensive mind, like Steve Kerr, like everybody was claiming for him to be a head coach. Like if there's a new shiny head coach out there that everybody's like, yeah, we need him. Like is all of a sudden it's like, all right, like we got like Sean, you've done very well for us, and like we appreciate obviously everything you've done. You've built what we have. But we think it's just like time to let bygones be bygones.
or let him be the defensive coach.
Yeah,
Because we don't have that right now.
He wouldn't do
I
that.
guarantee you he would not do that. And I guarantee you, if he gets
would
fired,
never
there will
take
be a
the
team that
motion.
hires him.
Oh, immediately, and he should be
100%.
hired. But I just like,
Yeah.
not necessarily I think, but like I can see, I understand the comparison being made to where like maybe this is his ceiling. Like maybe it is.
Yeah.
But they've done better.
I mean,
You're saying if we repeat last year, what he's done
Or not
better.
even if we just keep getting, if we just keep losing the playoffs, keep losing the playoffs. That's what Andy Reid did. Andy Reid went to the NFC Championship game, like 4 times or something with the Eagles, and lost his job. McDermott's done it once. Like, that's really saying something.
Yeah.
on the flip side of that too, I'm going to compare this to baseball. The Reds, they were a playoff team multiple years under Dusty Baker, but they just couldn't get over the hump, couldn't get to the World Series, and then he got canned. That was,
And then they
I don't know,
sucked.
5-6 years ago. The only time the Reds have made the playoffs since then was during that shortened season because of COVID, so that doesn't really count. That's what I'm worried about. There's more crap coaches out there than there are good ones. And I do feel like we do have a good one. And I am willing to be more patient and continue, because just like you said with Reed, how long did it take him to get one? And I wanted to do this, and I haven't had time this week, but I did want to go back and look at some of the other Super Bowl winning coaches. How long did it take them to get there? There's the greats like Bill Walsh. How long was he the coach at San Francisco before he finally got that first one?
Tony Dungy.
Tony Dungy is a good one. There's a whole bunch of great coaches, and I'll just be curious to look at that. And I think my concern too would be if they get rid of the coaching staff, who comes in? Who do you bring in? Who is out there that you would be confident in? Because I don't want to bring in a rookie coach. This team's got too much talent to be wasted on somebody learning on the fly, which is what they did with Dorsey. But I feel like that was an internal hire. So you got something to say?
So yeah, I see the rookie coach thing. hasn't been at such a detriment as you're making it out to be, though. Look at what, oh my God, Dum Dum down in Miami's doing. McDaniels, I couldn't think of his name. Look at what Sean McVay has done real quick. look what Shanahan has done in San Francisco. Look what other Dum Dum has done up in Green Bay. I mean, and then look at the new Nick Sirianni with the Eagles, came right in, completely turned that around in 2 years. He turned, and that was after coming off the Carson Wentz. He drafted a second round Jalen Hurts quarterback that nobody thought anything of. Next thing you know,
he didn't draft him. That was Peterson.
Was he?
Yeah, because then they fired Peterson after that first year because of the whole quarterback situation.
Okay, so still he came in with basically a rookie quarterback, and it's not the world's worst thing. I mean, look at what the Colts are doing right now with Gardner Minshew. They hired the shiny offensive coordinator from last year, and they are beating teams, and nobody's expecting that. I understand, their run game has been out of their mind. Somehow Zach Moss learned to play football again, and Jonathan Taylor's back. But Gardner Minshew has, at least been serviceable. Michael Pittman, he's coming into his own again. Josh Downs. It's one of those things, it's not as bad as everyone makes it seem to be anymore. Because these coaches, it can be, but more I won't say more often than not, but it's getting a lot closer to 50-50 now.
I just saw a revolving door of coaches during that 17 years, and that scares the crap out of me.
Agreed. I mean, hey man, well that might be I might be speaking off of what I just know at this point. I'm used to, all right, bad football team, get rid of the coach. That's what I grew up with. That's what I saw. Coaches didn't stay here longer than 2 years. My entire childhood. Doug Marrone was the first coach that I saw stay here for an extended period of time. Then all of a sudden he's like, I hate this place. I'm gone. That broke my heart. He was a Syracuse coach. I was like, oh my God, he's going to my favorite team. Let's go. Yeah, and he's like, no, Buffalo's a dump. He's like, screw this. I'm going to Jacksonville, the glorious city of Jacksonville.
The sun and sunshine. Really quick, Roy, Big Red Machine days for the Reds glory day. First of all, Roy, are you a Reds fan? Secondly, they did win a World Series after the Big Red Machine. They won it in 1990 when they have one of the greatest bullpens in Major League Baseball, nicknamed the Nasty Boys, one of the best nicknames.
Hey, this is a football.
Moving forward.
Football.
I just had
things actually happen in our game. There's not a lot of standing around.
I like that.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Appreciate
the Nasty Boys. Now we need the Nasty Boys of the Bills to bring it together.
Would that not be a perfect nickname for an offensive line group?
The Nasty Boys. I don't know.
I like it. All right, let's move on to the game.
I gotta keep my comments to myself. We'll talk about it after the show.
Okay.
Hey, I haven't eaten since 6:30 this morning, so after the show, I'm going to get some food.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to stick around for that.
You can text it. This weekend, Bills, after the weekend, Monday night, Bills Broncos. I believe it's the last Monday night game for the Bills this year. Are you guys worried about this game?
No.
Who's not? Apparently, I'm sorry.
I mean, Mike isn't apparently.
We're gonna blow this team out.
I do like the confidence in that.
We have to. This is the do or die game. Last week was not. This is. Even though
kind of feels like a little bit.
It is to me.
Casey, what scares you? Do the Broncos have a legitimate chance of winning? And why? If you believe that.
Yes, they have a legitimate chance of winning. The why is because we don't know which freaking team is going to show up.
Yeah.
That's the reason. They have I understand. They gave up 70 to Miami. I get it. But anomalies happened. They're still a good defense, and they're getting better. And, I mean, they have Patrick Surtain, who Bills Mafia was clamoring for. Oh, my God, get the best corner in the league. Okay, now we're going against the best corner in the league.
Yeah.
So there's something to be said for that. Russell Wilson, as much as we all want to make fun of him, he is playing better this year. I mean, he is. He's throwing more touchdowns, more yards, less interceptions. The team as a whole, not great, but they're streaky like us. If they get hot, if Russell gets hot again, and Sutton and Judy are not slouches at receivers. There's some things that worry me about this game.
Yeah. You mentioned Russell Wilson playing better. I'm going to ask you guys this question really quick. It's about football, but it's not about the Bills necessarily. You got Russell Wilson or Kyler Murray coming off an injury. Who do you play this weekend on a fantasy football? This is a very important question.
Russ. I think you play Russell Wilson against the Bills' beat up defense.
I think you go pick up Taylor Heineke and start him against the Titans.
I did that last week, and it didn't go so well with Heineke. He wasn't terrible, but all right, I just had to throw that in there.
I think he's that's the equivalent of what you're about to get, I think.
Yeah.
20 points. That's about it.
I'd be happy with 20 at the rate my season's gone.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah. Anyway, so with this game, on paper, yeah, we should handle them easily. Because of the way things have been going, you're right. We're not so sure. And you can ask the question and say it depends on which Bills team shows up. But we've seen different Bills teams within the same game almost every single week. Mm-hmm. They come out flat and they put up points in the second half, or they come out and they just go down the field like it's nothing in the first drive, and then they disappear for 2.5 quarters. And then they just, okay, yeah, we're playing a football game. And here they go again, right? So
God, I hate this.
I don't know. Yeah, it's frustrating. Josh Allen said today, I think it was today in a press conference, he talked about that he felt like that they were close, like something was like they were almost there. Well, let's talk about the players only meeting, since that happened today. Latavius
we're
Murray
having our super secret meeting.
The players super secret. It wasn't so secret.
No, but
that's the joke.
But it's
I got you.
Content is secret. Like, we don't know. You weren't there. You didn't get invited, and I didn't either.
Well,
I don't think Casey did.
Here,
there.
I'm not saying that I wasn't uninvited. I just was on the road when the invite came. I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay,
obviously.
Yeah.
No. So what Khalil Shakir said was basically Murray was like, guys, look around this room. This is an incredibly talented offense. And just kind of get them, motivated, kind of get everybody in their right mind again. But that's kind of that's one reason why, for me, I still believe, because they are a talented team. Kincaid is starting, he's already set the Bills rookie record for receptions in a season. And he's had 23 of those. He's had 40 receptions on the year, 23 of them in the last, I believe, 3 games. So, and then Shakir is starting to come on and be an integral piece of the offense too. It's just, somewhere in between the first and the fourth quarter, we got to get some points, and I hope that happens. But we've seen player meetings in the past, not necessarily with this team, but just in general. Do you guys put much stock into those?
It's the timing of them that you got to wonder about. You know what I'm saying?
The timing's perfect right now.
Well, when a player meeting is called Monday morning, that's when it's like off a bad loss, and you can clearly see why, and there's been a trajectory, kind of like when the Raiders called one against Josh McDaniels, and next thing you know, he's fired.
Yeah.
But Latavius Murray has been around the league for, what seems like 100 years now, has been on all sorts of teams, playoff teams. He's never won a Super Bowl, but he's played in the playoffs. He's been 1,000-yard rusher multiple times for different teams. He's been on very good offenses. He knows what talent looks like. So when someone like him is like, all right, someone just needs to take the dad role for a minute. All right, guys, let's pull our heads out of our, what
behinds.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Mike. And
in the Army, we refer to that as a 4-point of contact.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But
I'm
like
using that at work.
that's why you bring in veterans like that is to be man enough to like take that to make that hard conversation and to do it and like to not be like, all right, we know the coaches are having their own problems. We are having our problems as well. It's time for us to take a strong look in the mirror at ourselves and okay, yes, Dorsey's having issues. We understand it. It's just his second year as a offensive coordinator, so he is still learning. We can't really use that excuse with McDermott anymore, being like he's not all that new being a head coach. He's been around the block a time or two at this point.
Yeah.
So it's
the defense
Latavius
has stayed solid, right? Even with being beat up.
It's
like to
played,
McDermott's credit.
It's played good enough to where we should be in every game. Every game should be a nail biter, basically, and not just because we're coming back down 2 scores.
All right.
But I don't take any anything into this players only meeting. It's to me it's more so, guys, let's just do this thing. Figure it out. It's on you guys. It's a bad play, make the best of it. One of those type things.
First of all, Mike, you brought up a good point just now, and then I lost lost what I was going to say about it. But I do question the timing because you're like you said, if it doesn't happen on a Monday after a bad loss, why on Thursday? It kind of makes me wonder if he doesn't or he's not seeing the players. I don't want to say moping around the locker room and in practice, but maybe he's like, okay, this team is clearly not in the right mind. And he can even see that in practice. And maybe that's why he did that today. Like, okay, something's got to change, guys, because you guys are like dragging ass around here. And I don't like it. You're too talented for this kind of thing. So that's the only thing that to me, I think was brings it a little bit into question. But
just sort of, I think Casey's muted. He's trying to talk.
I was muted. Thanks, Mike. No, this is the second players only meeting in the last few weeks. Let's just put that into consideration. Mike, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know there was another one not long ago. I know there's been a few of them. But I'm hoping it's just more like a pregame, pep it up, talk it up, chat it up, kind of just get the guys fired up, a little bonding, it's not this, practice. I don't know the routine after practice or whatever, but it's not a special occasion meetup. You know what I mean? So just, it's just an opportunity, outside of practice or, not out of their normal routine, just to get together, chat it up, fire each other up. You're doing this good. This could use some work, and man, if we do it, then, we're looking in good shape. So just try to get everybody on the same page. We've seen some miscommunications on the field, things like that, but just get everybody in that same state of mind. That like, not now is the time. It's right now. So
yeah,
I think the timing's perfect.
Yeah, something's got to change, obviously. Let me talk about what I was going to say earlier. So with McDermott and some comments that he made, talking about how they were wanting to try different offensive styles in the game. That is one of the strangest things I've ever heard a head coach say in the middle of a season. That's the kind of stuff you do in preseason. So that kind of goes back to what I was saying. There are some things about the coaching staff that they've done that I'm like, I kind of question. But is that something that would concern you guys? Because to me, I see this team out there, and I see them in the up-tempo, no huddle, hurry up offense, whatever you want to call it, and I see them just going up and down the field like it's, like nothing, like there's no defense out there. So I don't understand quite why just stay in that. I get the risk and the pressure you put on your defense because they can get tired out if you don't sustain drives. I understand all of that, but I think in this league, just go score. And if the other team can keep up, great. But just go score points and put the pressure on the opposing offense to do that. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. That's just that comment was odd to me to hear a coach say that now.
Yeah. right? But also, but also, you don't want to limit yourself to anything, right? You got to. You'd like to think you've tried everything at this point, but have they really? But
I'm
it's
sure
not a
there's
good
other
time
things that they
during
could
the
do,
games.
but
Feels like not
yeah,
during the games. Not a good time to like practice new
right.
plays, or I don't know what that means. It's
We
bizarre.
also gotta think about just how often the three of us miss, like, just like I am right now, like not saying the right words. It's kind of like it's. I
Yeah,
feel like Sean McDermott just kind of gets lost, like with his words sometimes, and just like when, like with the whole Diggs thing, very concerned. I think it
Yeah,
was one of
I
those
was
things,
thinking
like,
that one exactly.
and then same thing with this, where it's like he's just not choosing the correct words, and people are taking it like what he says obviously to heart, because that's all we're given
yeah,
is that short span and time with him that he has to answer questions. But like I kind of do the same thing in my like personal life, to where I'll say things, say it like half joking, like expecting like the person to understand exactly what I'm getting, and all of a sudden it's quite literal, and I'm like, oh, whoa, 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 like I didn't mean it like that, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
But
Right, yeah.
McDermott can't just get on Facebook Live and be like, hey man, like I was kidding. Like I'm sorry. Like it just doesn't work. Like, so I always try to think about it like that. Like I wonder if he just genuinely might have misspoke, like just chosen the wrong, like he just got like chose the wrong word.
yeah.
Yeah. I
Or like if he
it's
was
entirely
thinking of
possible.
something else, he was completely somewhere else in his mind, and just sort of, are you concerned, and kind of just repeat it back. Yeah, concerned. Yep. But he's
Yeah,
focused on something else, you know, and he's just got to give him a
yeah.
quick word.
Roy, I did like the way Kelsey defended Josh on the so-called intentional grounding call. Let's talk about that one, but I also want to talk about the other.
I don't I don't
I
want
don't
to.
say it's question. I,
I've never
I'm
been
not saying it's a
so mad
questionable
at a
call.
call in my life.
Oh,
Which one? Which one? The
Which
taunting
one? The
or
one that
the?
was like the world's biggest non-penalty I have ever seen in my life. What do you mean intentional grounding? Bro ran a comeback route. Josh is like, you're going deep, and it's nope, here's your flag.
And we see that
What
all the
are
time
you
too.
doing? What are you doing?
oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, Allen came up off the bench. He was unglued. He's like, what?
Oh, me
Yeah,
and
that
Josh
was
said the
crazy.
same exact words at the exact same time.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that one was shocking. And that's one of those moments too where we always hear about the officials in New York watching. That
yeah.
should have
Why
been one
are
of those moments where New York calls like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa.
Hold the phone.
Answer, what
yeah,
are you doing?
yeah.
And fix that. But
Just use
yeah,
some
that was
common sense
wild.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, just wild.
It
But
is.
what about the taunting call? I when that happened, I tweeted out uh, the comparison to Tyreek Hill throwing up the deuces, which I've never seen him throw flags. Somebody on Twitter responded and said they have before, but not all the time.
Yeah.
I've never seen it, but I don't watch every single Chiefs game either.
I remember
Uh,
Tyreek did get flagged, and I think at some point he got a glove that only had
Yeah.
the peace fingers a different color,
Yep.
so he could do this, and it would still mean that. So that I do believe he was flagged.
it,
But pointing, I
Mike
mean,
is
Josh could have been like, "Hey, you got some dirt on your shirt or something," you know? Like, what is he pointing at? Like, big deal. Like, don't trip
with the
on your
big old grin
shoelace.
on his face.
You know, they treat it like it was the fake slide or something. What the heck?
Yeah,
hey, the fake slide's legal, by the
Yeah,
way. We saw
right.
Kenny Pickett do it, which is the second most infuriating football play I've ever seen in my life. But like I think like you texted us, Ronnie, like after that happened, and I mentioned that Tyreek had gotten flagged. I've seen him get flagged, and Mike's right. He had the glove where it threw up the deuces for
Yeah,
him, because he was like, "Hey, I did what you asked. I'm not doing it. I'm just putting up five fingers. What are you
yeah,
like?
yeah,
What are you gonna do about it?"
So let me play devil's advocate on that. So if he's got this specially designed glove and you're not allowed to celebrate with props, isn't that kind of the same thing?
yeah,
Like he's celebrating
We
with
need
a
a
prop that's his
we need
glove.
a middle finger. We need a middle finger glove for Josh,
yeah.
so he can
Yeah.
just wave to the refs every time.
I wonder how that would fly. He would get fined for that. I
God,
guarantee it.
Dude,
no,
they get
That'd be
fined
posted
for
for us.
wearing the wrong
that
socks.
was a
come
pitiful
on.
call. But it really hurt our motivation, I think, is what it did. Even though
Yeah.
the touchdown counted and all that, and the penalty on a kick, who really cares? On a kickoff, isn't that what the penalty was, right?
Yeah.
For the kick, so you didn't lose any points
Kickoff,
there.
yeah.
Big deal, but it hurt our pride a little bit. Like, it really sucked the fun right out of the whole game, and it was like
It
letting
did a little bit, and I do wonder when plays like that happen.
letting a balloon go there. It's like,
Yeah,
are you kidding me? Let us play, man.
I'm not one to. I mean, if the coach or not coaches, if the referees make a mistake or whatever, it's being a ref is one of the most difficult things you can do. I've never officiated football, but I've officiated other sports. It's no fun, first of all. I would never can't imagine why anybody would want to do it for a career, but
They
it
don't.
makes you
That's part
wonder
of the
if
problem.
sometimes, yeah, if when an official makes a call like that, and then they make a call with the terrible call and the intentional grounding, if that starts to get in Josh Allen's head or any other player's head, like we can't win a game because these guys are against us.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't want to think that way, but these guys are still human, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
things like that just start beating you down constantly. Like, dude, what the hell we got to do to get you guys on our side? And sometimes it does feel like the calls kind of goes the other team's way. I'm sure that's maybe not true. I think it's just officiating just sucks in general. But
I think
I do
Josh
wonder if
Allen
maybe
needs
that
to
kind of
pull
gets
up.
in their head a little bit.
I think Josh
Yeah.
Allen needs to pull a crew and make them protect the McNuggets. Everybody who's watched Longest Yard knows what that's a good joke.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. That might be
Well, I also
considered.
go ahead.
I'm trying to think of the word. Bribery.
Sexual harassment.
Maybe that too.
All
right,
but I
let's
did
see.
text you guys during this game early, and I was like, "Look, we got our first pass interference call in God knows how long."
Yeah.
I swear,
yeah.
I genuinely cannot remember the last time since before this game that we got a pass interference call, because I know it hasn't been like in the last 2 games, 3 games. I mean, just like you guys, I watch every play of every single game, and I can't think of a single time when we got a pass interference called and everybody's like, "Look at this," just like Roy's saying with the cornerback grabbing Gabe's face mask in the end zone. Never called. The trip, never called.
I mean, turned his head completely aside.
Yep.
Yeah. I actually had
Looked like
forgotten
Ryan
about
Fitzpatrick
those
when he
two.
made that pass.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not blaming the refs for this loss. The offense, they just disappeared.
Mm-mm.
It's not the officials' fault. But damn,
You got to play the refs. You have to get up a few possessions to just take the refs right out of it. Because if it comes down to a 1 possession game, there's always that chance that one call is going to screw the whole game up.
And it's hard when you lose by 6 points. It's hard not to go back to those 4 calls. Well, we'll throw the taunting one out because technically it is a penalty, whatever. And it really didn't affect much as far as points or anything. I think you're muted again, Casey.
God damn it.
Oh, that was rough. I don't got the buzzer ready.
We got to bleep Casey here. What were you saying, Casey?
I don't remember. Just go.
Okay. He doesn't remember. But yeah, so when you got a 6-point loss and you've got 3 calls right there, the face mask, the tripping, and then the intentional grounding, and you got a 6-point loss, that can affect the outcome of the game. And I don't know.
Well, one of them directly took 3 points off the board. If Bass makes the kick, but assuming he makes the kick, that grounding directly took 3 points off the board, knocks it on a 3-point game. Like in hindsight, it's just one of those.
It took
things,
7 points. Gabe Davis. I mean, if he doesn't get face mask, he might grab that ball with one hand, and that's a touchdown. And if we get that call, we're on the goal line.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's 7 points.
And then we're gonna
that's go ahead.
saying then we're gonna run shotgun for 3 times.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
But hey, it gets 3 points at least.
This comment is what friends are for.
Yeah. Here's my thing.
I know. Maybe we just won't tell him next time. We'll let him stay muted.
I know, and just talk into silence. This is another reason why I'm not as down on Dorsey and the offense as a lot of people, because there are like this team has moved the play or moved the ball. They've got the yards to show it. The whole DVOA thing, which I'm not all into that. But on paper, it's an efficient offense. So when you go back and you look at the games, it's a Dalton Kincaid fumble in the red zone. It's a missed face mask. It's a holding penalty on Deion Dawkins. It's just one little thing here and there that's killing the drive, and they can't recover from that. If they can just get out of their own heads and stop with the turnovers and the penalties, I think this offense can put up 30-plus points without really blinking an eye.
I think we've really been humbled to the point where we're just ready to get fired up. We're going to have a lot of grit going through the rest of the season, unless we just tank. But
the Bills are like teenage boys. We're very fragile. It's like mentally they're very fragile. Like we think we're the toughest, biggest boys on the block. Nobody's gonna mess with us. But we're 13 years old, and then that big 17-year-old comes by and was like, "And who are you?" And then then we either have 2 options. We can step up to him, go chest to chest with him and dog it out, or we can whimper, and it seems that's kind of it seems like that's kind of the point we're at right now, to where it's like they got, like, right now they have to make a decision. Which way are they going to go?
Yeah. Let's say they win this weekend and then they lose to the Jets, and then we're sitting at 6-5. They keep this whole back and forth thing because they haven't lost back-to-back games this year yet. So if they keep going back and forth and we end up in that 7-6 position again, where would you guys stand on this team at that point?
I'd rather we lose to the Broncos and beat the Jets. I really cannot imagine us losing to the Jets again.
For those of you that will be listening on podcast, Casey's face is one of shock.
We better not lose either of these 2 games. I understand the Jets have been our Achilles heel last 2 years. Like and it's wild. Every team has one of those. Like other teams where it's like, that we know they're inferior, but for some reason they just don't go away. That's the Jets for us. It's just one of those things. Like, but we gotta beat them. We have to beat them for the division. Really, we gotta get back to 500 for the division.
Mm-hmm. I can't imagine us losing to them.
Okay,
it can't happen.
We lost to the 2 worst teams of the division. We have 1 leg up over the better team in our division. Not saying better than us, but the other good team. So so we lost 2 games that, it's kind of okay to lose, because we know we can beat them the second time. Beating Miami week 17 in Miami, like, basically is going to be for the division, and like who's going to be at home in the playoffs and who's going to have to go to the Super Bowl entirely on the road. That's huge. I don't know if we can win that game, especially with how our defense is like depleted, how our offense is so wishy-washy right now. It's going to be tough, but we better beat the freaking Jets.
We're getting close to score prediction time, but I want to get a couple of quick what ifs of my own in here really, really fast. First of all, we win the next 2. We're sitting at 7-4. We lose to the Eagles in a close game. Are you confident in this team at that point? Are you still like, okay, we're back on track. This team can get it done. Here we go. Or like, crap, we're 7-5. We're still behind the Dolphins.
I take that loss against the Eagles and hope that we see them again.
That would be the Super Bowl.
I predicted that we would be losing the Eagles this year. So
that would
It
be
will-
the
it
ideal
won't- it
situation
won't
for
bother
me. If we lose to them and see them in the Super Bowl, that's a dub. I'm not gonna watch.
I won't be able to talk to one of my
Roy
best
here.
friends for a while.
Miami game
No,
can
I'll
determine
watch,
if we go
but
to the playoffs.
that seems
I
like
mean,
a
there-
dream to me.
Yeah, there's some truth in that for sure.
Yeah,
It could come
yes.
down to the playoffs because it's very possible that only one team out of the East goes to the playoffs, obviously being the division champion. So it definitely could happen. Man, I forgot the other what if. Oh, yeah, I got it. All right, this is a good one. What if the Dolphins stumble again and they struggle down the stretch like they did last year? They end up falling behind the Bills, play 3 games. They get ousted in round 1 by the Bills. Does McDaniel keep his job?
Not even a question.
Really?
Not,
Think
not
he'd
even
be
a
done?
question. No, not even a question.
Oh,
he McDaniel he's there. He's there. He's gonna
Yeah.
be there for a while.
So what makes that different from what McDermott's doing right now?
He's younger. He's still only been there. Like this is only his
You
second
can't
year.
discriminate based on age.
Can too.
That's a law.
Yeah. Not for me.
True.
Not an analysis. I mean, it's only year 2. You know, people are still questioning Tua. Is he just a system quarterback? You know, is he just Brock Purdy in a better with a better offensive weapons, faster offensive weapons? You know, it's one of those things. You know, throw Josh and Allen in with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Watch them put up 70 on everybody. Because nobody can throw a ball as far as Josh. Nobody can run as fast in a straight line as fast as Tyreek and Waddle in the league. So just four verts every time if that was the team. But like it's I think they would cut Tua before they got rid of McDaniels.
All right.
I think they think
time,
Tua's
guys.
more limited than as a quarterback than McDaniels is as a coach.
Probably true.
Mike,
Well, we're going to start with Case or
let's
Mike.
go.
We're going to start with Mike. I don't feel like we started with Mike in a while on the score predictions. And you've already said it's going to be a blowout, so we're expecting a big number here.
21-20.
No, I'm gonna. You can hold me to that, and I don't remember. I commented on the show on the chop up last night a score prediction. This one will be close to that one because I don't remember exactly what it was. It might even be the same, but I'm guessing 37-23 Bills.
Okay. And those of you listening, let's get your score predictions in here. I want to see.
Yes.
I want to see what people's confidence level is right now with this team. Casey, what do you got?
I'm thinking. I'm gonna say 30.
Insert Jeopardy music.
Yeah, pretty much. That's how I feel. I'm gonna say
I'll have to add
30. 30 to 8. We'll call it 30 to.
Come on.
I want to say 18, but that's unrealistic. 30 to 20. Buffalo.
We just scored 18 last week, so
I know. It's an anomaly.
yeah. Well, in the week before that, Buffalo held, I can't remember who we played, but they held them to 18. So that's 2 weeks in a row that a Bills score it had an 18 in it, which is odd. So, all right. So we've got some of these score predictions coming through. So far, everybody's picking the Bills, and I think they should. I'm going to go, obviously I'm taking the Bills. I'm going to say I'll go 30 to 17. 30 to 17.
I was like,
That's
whoa.
my score.
All right.
So 30-20, 30-17,
And I said
37-23.
23.
Okay. All Bills. I love it.
All Bills. All right, we're going to get out of here. Again, thank you for listening to the Mafia Cast. We are part of the Buffalo Rumblings podcast network. Appreciate our listeners. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, share. We love you all. We'll see you next week. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills. Tell your friends.